world in the broadcast booth. Ron Johnson is Minnesota sports. One-of-a-kind opinions, big-name guests, the teams you care about every day. It's the Ron Johnson Show, part of Locked On Sports Minnesota, and it starts now.
Welcome to the Ron Johnson Show. I'm your host, Ron Johnson. That's Sam Ekstrom, my producer. And on today's show, we are going to talk about, of course, the top of everybody's mind, the Timberwolves. The Minnesota Timberwolves, a team that nobody thought would be in the playoffs this year, found a way to win 46 games. They also won the play-in game, as we'll talk about later. And then, of course, the celebration. We have to dive into what TNT and those around the world that are not Minnesota fans thought about what the Minnesota Timberwolves did. But first, a word from our sponsors. Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company that gives you the features of $200 sunglasses for the fraction of the price. I mean, think about it. Everybody wants to go out and get the top of the line sunglasses. Shady Rays offers you the opportunity. That means polarized lenses, well-constructed durable frames, and premium high-end finishes. I mean, when you go to the bar or you go to the club or you're just out on the town, when they see you in these sunglasses, they're going to feel like you are wearing top of the line sunglasses, and you are, because they are giving them to you at a fraction of the price. Shady Rays includes lost, broken, stolen, damage protection on every single pair. Think about if your phone did that. Think about how many times you lose your phone. Sunglasses fall right into that. No matter where you're on vacation, if you're going to Disney World, somebody happens to just knock your sunglasses off. Well, hey, Shady Rays is going to replace them for you. They'll send you a brand new pair if you lose them, no matter what happened. Give them a try, and if you don't love them, you'll pay nothing. It's as simple as that. 10 meals are donated to fight hunger in America when you shop with Shady Rays. Exclusively for our listeners, head to shadyrays.com and use the code LOCKEDON to get 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. That's code LOCKEDON for their best deal of the season. 50% off 2 or more pairs of Shady Rays sunglasses. Now, as we dive into this show, Sam, I was a huge fan of the game. I enjoyed it. Everything happened the way I thought it should have, which in my mind, I've talked about star for star. Paul George for Karl-Anthony Towns. It's like playing poker. I see your ace and I raise you, or I see your 100, I raise you 100. Why? Because you might have ace king. I got ace king. Which suit is going to help us on the flop, on the river, on the turn? Well, if you look at this Timberwolves team, the ace king didn't work out. It was Jack 10 suited versus ace. Jack 10 is going to be my Anthony Edwards and my D'Angelo Russell. They were suited, though. What else happened? On the flop, you had help from other guys on the team. But the big key was the other team had no help with their hand. Reggie Jackson only gave Paul George 17 points, and I think that's the key. Karl-Anthony Towns might have only gave him 11, but their 30 and 29 not only nullified Paul George's 30-plus, but then Reggie's 17 couldn't really do much, and then they needed another person, and it just wasn't there. I mean, when you jump into the stats and you look into the numbers and you look at Malik Beasley, giving him 12 points with some huge threes down the stretch, I mean, that was a big piece. You look at Naz Reid giving them 8. You look at Jared Vanderbilt with the key 10 rebounds. You know, and he didn't do a ton from a points perspective, but when Karl-Anthony Towns was getting double teamed, he was in the right place at the right time. Karl just couldn't stay in the game long enough to continue to do that. Every time they were going to double team Karl-Anthony Towns, and he should have found Jared Vanderbilt a lot more than he did. And I think that's the key for the team. I mean, honestly, though, Malik Beasley's 12. That was the biggest 12 points that I think the crowd needed, the players needed to see the ball go into the hoop. If Malik Beasley doesn't make those threes, it might be a different ball game. The celebration, of course, we know what happened. Charles Barkley, Shaq, they're making fun of him. They're playing the one shining moment. They're saying, is Chris Finch going to take his shirt off in the locker room? And are they going to spray water on him like he just won the Final Four and he's headed to the big dance? And honestly, I was there laughing all night on Twitter. I'm not going to lie. I was right there laughing all night because it was funny. The Kevin Garnett memes, everything. I even tweeted my own. That's 3 Ron Johnson at Twitter. But what ended up happening as I thought about it this morning and as I watched Patrick Beverley continue to tweet, as I saw the thought process, you have to look at the bigger picture of this. People are saying it's been 18 and 19 years. It hasn't. They went in 2017-18 to the playoffs with Jimmy Butler. But again, that's one of those you want to wipe away from the books. You don't want to remember Jimmy Butler's time here. But when you think about George Floyd, you think about the pandemic, you think about Dante Wright, you think about all the riots, the looting, the burning, the hurt, the anger, the pain. I think that was a demon that was exercised. I think that's what Patrick Beverley was trying to say. Also, think about Patrick Beverley. Imagine your girlfriend or boyfriend breaking up with you, saying, I'm going to move on from you. I got some other stuff in the works. And then you happen to run into them. And when you run into them, you absolutely show them you're living your best life. That's where Patrick Beverley was at. The Clippers didn't want him. They traded him. He got sent to Minnesota, and in people's minds, Minnesota wasn't going to do what the Clippers were going to do because they had Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. And so everybody assumed the Clippers are still the Clippers and the Timberwolves, we're just going to send them off. Well, that's what he was celebrating. His teammates were celebrating for him as well, but also coming from nothing, team is sold off to Alex Rodriguez and Mark Lowry, and then now you're here with this 46-win team now clinching the 7th seed. I think that's what the emotion was because nobody had faith in them. Nobody had faith in Patrick Beverley. Nobody thought that core, that 3. They weren't calling him a big 3. They were just saying Karl-Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, and hey, we'll throw in D'Angelo Russell because we're just going to do it. Well, it came through. It worked out. When Karl-Anthony Towns went down, the other big 2 came to play. Almost 60 points from 2 players. And I think that's the key for me, Sam. That's for me where I think everything came from, and it all came together at the right time. Hopefully this is momentum going into these games versus the Grizzlies. They played so well that Shaq and Barkley both feel like the Timberwolves can get it done. Now, Kenny Smith, he's sticking with the Grizzlies. But I think the length of Anthony Edwards, he showed it last night, his strength with Paul George, how they continue to keep him, aggravated. Pat Beverley on Ja Morant as well. That's going to frustrate him. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. Karl-Anthony Towns is going to have to deal with the bigs. We'll see if the Grizzlies do what the Clippers did, which is double Karl-Anthony Towns as soon as he gets in the hole. Hopefully now he can watch film and realize I got to dump it off sooner. The minute I feel that double team, I have to know Jared Vanderbilt or Naz Reid. Somebody is behind these guys ready to make a dunk. But what do you think, Sam? How did you enjoy this game?
I enjoyed every minute. I mean, so many unsung heroes. How about Naz Reid coming on for Cat after he fouled out? Naz Reid plus 17 in the plus minus. Beasley hit, I think, 2 of the biggest shots of the game, and you alluded to this. They're down 9 going into the end of the third quarter. Beasley hits a buzzer beater, down 6. Huge psychological lift. And then there was that broken play in transition when they were down 6. Beasley hits another corner 3. They pull within 3. They pull within 1 possession. That was part of that huge run they went on to end the game. Timely shooting. The offense was not that good either way. I mean, it's clear like the aesthetic of basketball just changes when it's the playoffs. Both teams defended really well, particularly for the Wolves. There was nothing for them at the rim. Absolutely nothing. Cat was getting frustrated. He was getting doubled. The Clippers have a lot of defensive length down low. Fortunately for the Wolves, they didn't have a lot of offensive juice inside, but defensively, they were really tough. So if the Wolves weren't hitting from distance, if Ant wasn't hitting those shots, if Beasley and Russell weren't hitting those shots, I think they lose that game handily. I mean, they needed to shoot from the outside last night. That was the only way they were going to stay in that game with really no inside presence. As hard as they tried to attack, they had foul trouble, and they persevered past all of that. They persevered past the glue gal, the glue girl.
She was the unsung hero. I mean, if you think about it, she gave them an additional timeout. They got time to calm down, cool the Clippers off. They came back after that. Like, I think she deserves, I mean, she's in jail probably, but she deserves a jersey or something, a pat on the back. I mean, she was just trying to fight for animal rights. So I got to give Glue Gal her just due as well.
Yeah. I think I saw that she was on some kind of Twitter live video. I think she's free. I don't think she's in custody any longer, so that's good. But yeah, I like your point. Maybe we can debate this a little bit about Russell as part of the big three, because I'm not sure anyone else gets you 29 points on a bad cat night. I mean, you needed him to join Ant, and if 2 out of your big three are working, then that's the point of having a big three. You know, all three aren't going to be working. Like when you're playing golf, you got driver, you got irons, and you got putter. If 2 out of 3 are working, it's probably going to be a pretty good day. If it's 1 out of 3, probably not. And they had 2 out of 3 last night.
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree with that. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit in the next segment about D'Angelo Russell. Does he belong? What's the future for him? And does the team see him as a value to this big three? And we're gonna debut a new segment. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Yes, it's Built Bar. Once again, it's the time of year where I'm usually getting pretty resigned to any dietary resolutions I made at the new year. We're like a third of the way into the year, and I've given all of that up. Built Bar is a great way where it doesn't feel like work to have a good diet and eat healthy. They're a fan favorite with their 100% real chocolate puffs. They've got some other amazing flavors: cinnamony churro, coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie. Did I mention 100% real chocolate? It's incredible. Low calorie, high protein. Replace your candy bars with these. Trust me, it's so much better for you. They've got 110 fewer calories. They've got 26 fewer grams of sugar, and much more protein. Mint brownie, coconut almond, white chocolate cookies and cream. I'm practically salivating already just talking about it. At Built Bar, they're all about the taste. They make it taste delicious first, then figure out how to make it healthy. Go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com.
Well, on the Ron Johnson Show, we have a new segment. Call it Shoot or Pass. If I shoot it, I like it. I'm going with it. I'm rolling with it. If I'm passing it, it's like passing up a shot. It's just not for me. Somebody else, you can take the shot for me. So, Sam, kick it off.
All right. You've got 2 options. You can shoot, and you can keep D'Angelo Russell on this team. Okay. He can be part of the big three going forward. D'Lo, Cat, Ant, some pretty cool nicknames in your big three, and that's your group. You can shoot, and you can take that. Or you can pass. You can pass on Russell. You can say, hey, we love you, but you are not Cat and you are not Ant. We're going to trade you, pick up some assets, and move on. And we're going to build around some other younger pieces, cheaper pieces. Are you going to shoot or are you going to pass, Ron Johnson?
That's a tough one. So many people doubted D'Angelo Russell. I think D'Angelo Russell's rocky pass. You think about when he came out of Ohio State, he was one of the top draft picks. He was in the Devin Booker camp. He was in the karl-Anthony Towns camp. He's friends with all these guys. And when you think about when you're in that camp, so like LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, those guys have always been in each other's camps. They've always been each other's, corners. I'm going to do whatever I can do to help my friend out. If we can play together, I want to play with you. And so originally when it was karl-Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell, the thought was Devin Booker would come. And then you're like, man, D'Angelo Russell, that's a key piece because he can help get guys here. And then they draft Anthony Edwards and they don't draft LaMelo Ball. People wonder. I think the wonder is over now. In my opinion, I think LaMelo Ball and Anthony Edwards are both good. They both create energy. They both create an atmosphere of fun. They're a great teammate to be around. Anthony Edwards, though, he's a different beast. I mean, you look at his explosion, his quick first step. He's an attacker. He's attacking the basket. Whereas LaMelo, he's a finesse. He's cool. He's cute with it. He's passionate. He's going to shoot deep. But he's not an aggressive attack the rim guy. And I think that's what the Timberwolves needed. They needed an attitude. They didn't need a superstar in his own mind. And that's what LaMelo Ball is. Yes, he's good, but he's not where he can be. Whereas Anthony Edwards, he's going to give you points. When you add D'Angelo Russell, if you look at his season numbers, he played 65 games, started 65 games. So load management, we know that, nagging injuries, general soreness, all that kind of stuff. That's today's NBA game. When you have a nagging injury, you're going to be out. But when you look at his assists, 7 assists a game, he's not selfish. He's not like the old D'Angelo Russell. People assumed he always wanted to take the shot. Now he realized I got other guys that can shoot. But last night, he showed it. When Anthony Edwards couldn't hit a three, D'Angelo Russell came down, fast break, knocked down a three that was probably one of the biggest threes of the night. That's the D'Angelo Russell that people forget. Averaged 18 points a game. So he way, shot above his average with the 29 last night. And so when you think about that, I'm going to shoot it. I would keep D'Angelo Russell because you pointed that out. You can't find another point guard that's willing to pass, willing to score 18 points a game, 7 assists. That's his average for the season, 18 and 7. And then when your star goes down, he can fill the basket up. Like the minute karl-Anthony Towns got his 4th foul, I tweeted, D'Angelo Russell has to help Anthony Edwards out. That's it. I said Anthony Edwards can go, but he's going to need D'Angelo Russell, period. Somebody tweeted and again, my daughter's birthday is today. So happy birthday to Cameron. She turns 11. So last night I was a little bit back and forth, storm, trying to figure out how to stream it for 2 minutes while the storm cut out the satellite, trying to run around. So certain parts of the game I missed, but then somebody tweeted to me, nailed it. And I didn't realize what happened. Soon as the game came back on, it was probably 3 or 4 minutes later, it happened. D'Angelo Russell went on a tear. He went from, I think, 1 or 2 points early on to like finishing the half with like 12 or something like that, or so. It was a ridiculous number. I can't remember what it was, but I know he went on a quick tear and scored like 9 points or something. And so I think that helped Anthony Edwards calm down too. Realize like, okay, all is not lost. My boy is here. We can do this. And so that's why I would shoot it. I would keep him for the foreseen future. Just try to figure it out in the immediate. You got Karl, you got a guard, and you got a point guard. Now you just need a slasher to be able to help you out. Somebody like and I'm drawing a blank on a guy that could fit, but because cheap, because you would say like Siakam, or you would say one of the big slashers, Kevin Durant, but you can't afford him. But they need a body type like a Kevin Durant. They need one more guy that like a Horace Grant, going to do the dirty work, but can still, put his back to the basket every once in a while, or a guy like a Kevin Durant that can shoot, that's going to give you points. Of course, you can't get Kevin Durant, but I do feel like there's going to be some young, cheap pieces they need to try to add. They need a Sean Livingston type to come off the bench, a point guard that can run the floor when D'Angelo's out. I think Pat Bev is your defensive guy. He can be it. Your Sean Livingston could be your 2 because Sean played next to Steph Curry. So we know he's interchangeable at 6'8". I mean, you find that, and I think you have a piece to end up in the 4th seed. They weren't far off. They're going to play a 2 seed who I don't think scares me as a 2 seed. So I would keep D'Angelo Russell in that big 3. It's all about chemistry. It sounded great to have Jimmy Butler with karl-Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins, but the chemistry wasn't there. If there's no chemistry, you can't get wins. Like literally, if there's no chemistry, there's no purpose. Guys aren't shooting well. Guys mentally aren't into the game. What you saw last night was a guy in D'Angelo Russell that had all the faith in himself because his team had it in him. But D'Angelo Russell of old with Swaggy P and texting Ziggy Elliott that your boyfriend's cheating on you and all the bad blood and bad vibes that followed him and teams that didn't really accept him because they didn't know if they could trust him. His shortstop with the Wizards, the Warriors, all of that is behind him. The Nets, that's behind him. I think now he can create a new chapter in life. He can possibly be known as a Timberwolf. If you think about what is going to transpire in the playoffs, I think they can get this done in 6. But I think that's the reason I would keep him.
there are a lot of complicated factors in play here. So doesn't it kind of feel a little bit like Durant, Westbrook, Harden with the Thunder? You've got Durant. I'm not saying that these players are equal by any means, but Durant is Towns in this case. You're not going to give up your 7-foot big man who can shoot threes as well as any big man ever. Ant is Westbrook. He's your fire. He is the pulse of the team. He is your explosive ball handling guard. And then Russell is Harden, kind of this a little more aloof, awkward lefty who just gets stuff done and kind of sneakily scores 30 on you. The Thunder obviously let Harden loose because they couldn't afford all of them. Harden turns out to be a star. Russell is only 26. I mean, it's possible that Russell could be a number one guy somewhere at some point in his career if he were entrusted with that role. I look at money. I mean, I'm always looking at the salary cap, Ron. D'Angelo Russell is worth $31 million next year, and it's his final year of his deal. So you're going to have a lame duck contract unless you extend him this offseason. And that creates an awkward situation because then you get to the deadline and you say, well, we're a pretty good team. We need Russell to get where we want to go because I think the Wolves are going to be really good again next year. I think they can shoot for a 4 or 5 seed if they don't, get COVID like they did this year in the month of December. But as a front office, you have to look at that piece and say, we could get a first-round pick back. We could get a great player back. We could shed ourselves of $30 million and think of what we could do with $30 million. We could get those role players that you talked about, Ron. So I'm torn. Also, one more factor, karl-Anthony Towns is buddies with him. Like, this was a big reason why karl-Anthony Towns didn't get disgruntled and want to leave this city is because they brought in D'Angelo Russell.
Yep.
And those two were tight. So if you traded Russell, you are risking, I think, disenchanting your franchise star. So I think I lean shoot, but I totally understand the pass. I mean, if you're floundering at the trade deadline, I think you got to cash in that asset, get the picks, get the players, and you're going to have to invest in Ant and Cat and keep those guys around and find another cheaper third piece.
Yeah, I agree. I would say if he had a terrible game last night, I probably would have been more on the pass side, but I'm captive by the moment. Like, I was up late watching this thing. Like, my adrenaline was going because I had guaranteed a win pretty much. And so when I started off watching this game and I said they were down, I was like, here we go. Like, do not do this. Like, it was down. And there's the one thing I want people to remember. I said this. Whoever's winning at halftime will win the game. And the Clippers were winning up into the last seconds of the first half. The minute the Timberwolves won the first half, I had faith that they would get it done. Even though the Clippers came out early in the second half, I knew whoever won that first half mentally had that edge, and they pulled it off. So it ends up being what it was every single game. And for those that bet online, if you bet the Timberwolves, like I told you, you got some money. So go ahead and kick my Venmo a little bit of a percentage back because I am the guy going to give you the information to win some money on betonline.com. Well, that'll do it for that. We're going to start off next with the Daily 3. That's 3 questions, 3 minutes. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Let me tell you about Athletic Greens AG1, just a tremendous product that is a good alternative to taking awkward big vitamins that are tough to take down. What is this stuff? It's one delicious scoop of AG1. You're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, nervous system, immune system, energy, focus, the whole 9 yards. Costs you less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. It's cheaper than getting all the different supplements yourself. You're investing in an all-in-one nutritional insurance. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. Just 1 scoop and a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NBA network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NBA network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
Well, it's time for the Daily 3. That's 3 questions, 3 minutes. Sam, take it away.
You got it. Let's touch on the other sports. The Wild winning 5-1 last night against Edmonton. Obviously, not a lot of people watching that on TV. They were all locked into the Wolves, but a couple potent offenses here in the Twin Cities, Ron. The Wild are 5th in scoring in the NHL. The Timberwolves, as we know, they finished 1st in scoring in the regular season in the NBA. Weren't quite as impressive last night. That's okay. Which offense, Ron, do you trust more, the Wild or the Wolves?
Well, the Wolves are the 7th seed. They're playing the Grizzlies. You saw what happens with foul trouble early with Cat. Without D'Angelo Russell helping them out. Again, we always talk about the big 3, and I wanted to hit on your analogy of the big 3 in golf. I'm going to say if 2 or 3 are working, you're still probably not doing well. If your driver is off, you're screwed. If your putter is off, you're screwed. But in basketball, you can get away with it. I don't trust their offense, though. I still want to see more consistency. I need to see the big 2, which would be Karl-Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards, or Karl-Anthony Towns and either of the 2. But I think Anthony Edwards is the big 2 with Karl-Anthony Towns. And then D'Angelo Russell giving you a solid 18 to 22. Or all 3 just being over 20 points. Like, that would be a cool stat line as well. Especially if you had 2 of them with a double, or all 3 with a double, 1 with assists, the other 2 are rebounds. Like, that's a cool stat line. But I mean, when you look at the Wild, I mean, you got Kirill Kaprizov leading the team right now. They're 45-21-6. They're 2nd in the Central Division. They're filling the net up. I mean, 5-1. It's exciting. They're out there skating. You got Marcus Foligno. He's in there with the most penalty minutes. So they have a guy that's really not afraid to mix it up when he has to. You look at Matt Zuccarello right behind him in assists, but he's also 2nd in points. Kevin Fiala as well. So they have 3 guys in Fiala, Zuccarello, and Kaprizov that are absolutely going off right now. Teams are going to have to score a lot to beat the Wild. And we know it's a game of streaks. Like, when you're confident and that net looks as big as the ocean and you can just skate down, you're skating faster, you're getting into your zone quicker, you're pressing the issue in the creases, you're being a little bit more aggressive with other teams. Teams don't feel like they can bully you. I think that's what happens a lot of times with the Penguins. When you look at Crosby, people were always trying to bully him, and then he had to have guys help him out. You don't see that with the Wild. You don't see guys thinking they could pick on Kaprizov, or you don't see guys thinking that Zuccarello is going to be an easy one. Like, they know this is going to be a fight. They're going to have to get out there and skate, and they're exciting. So I can't say the Timberwolves. I trust the Wild a little bit more right now, and I'm not even a hockey guy, but just from watching, highlights here and there, and then watching a little bit of the game before the Timberwolves game last night, they're quick and they're fast, and I think that's the key. They're going to fill up the net fast. And, even when it was 3-1, I think somebody was like, oh, the Wild have to make sure they don't screw it up. And I keep forgetting hockey's so quick that you can score 2 goals in the matter of seconds if you really are pushing the issue. And so they flipped it. They scored the 2 goals and went up 5-1 versus them coming back on them and tying it up 3-3. So that just shows how good they are. So I got to go with the Wild.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Wolves' depth, but I like the Wild depth more. And the Wolves play a couple of guys pretty huge minutes, McDaniels and Vanderbilt. I know it's for defensive reasons, and they're great at that. They're valuable. But they also have those 2 guys on the floor a lot of minutes not scoring points. I don't trust McDaniels or Vanderbilt on offense. So if you get a couple of guys in foul trouble, then I don't trust that Wolves offense. Whereas I think the Wild have so many options on all 4 lines that I do trust their offense a bit more, even though they're 5th and the Wolves were 1st. Let me move on to topic number 2 in the Daily 3. Dalvin Cook is switching from number 33 to number 4 now that the NFL allows the single-digit jersey numbers. Ron, I know you're kind of attached to that number 3, so let me ask you this. How much would you have paid to get number 3 in the NFL? And for reference, Dalvin Cook said that if he had switched last year, it would have cost him $1.2 million.
Yeah, so I know with the jersey sales and all that stuff, you have to go through the cycle and you have to petition and let the league know for dollar purposes, so they don't spend this offseason making a bunch of Dalvin Cook number 33 jerseys. So the fact that he let the league know early, he told him he wanted to do it. He found out the right time, with his player rep and all that stuff. Now, all the, investors, Nike, all these people that have to make these jerseys know, okay, we need to start producing 4s. And so it's going to be funny. I'm guessing right after the draft. You probably already have people ordering Cook 4s on, fan or whatever, the Fanatic site and all that stuff. Nike.com, I'm pretty sure people have, because you can make your own jersey. People have probably started ordering 4 Cooks. But it's going to start to show, like at the draft at US Bank Stadium. I'm pretty sure they're going to have possibly a couple Dalvin Cook 4s in the store if they happen to have the store open, because this is the first year in a while. I did the draft the last 2 years from my basement. And then ended up doing the other one from TCO. So this year I have to go to US Bank Stadium to do the draft pregame show. And then I'm going to TCO to do the draft breakdown every day. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the Vikings have me coming over doing the draft breakdown. What do I think? So I'll actually have some of the draft picks early, but I can't leak them. But I definitely will tease some of the stuff that I know, because I get to actually watch the draft room, and they're usually 15 picks ahead. But how much would I have paid for number 3? I don't think I would have paid a lot. One, because back when I played, single digits weren't actually cool. Single digit was the guy that, like, I had 11 with the Bears because I just had 11 because all the 80s were taken. And the minute I got to get 81 after they cut a guy, I felt better. Like, I felt like, okay, I got an 80 number. I'm on this team. And then, of course, I hurt my knee in the first game, and that's all she wrote. But that like single digits back then, there were quarterbacks. It wasn't like guys warm in practice. Like, I remember Ray Lewis and all the linebackers one week wore all single digits in practice. I don't know why. They just did it. But yeah, I don't know if I would have paid a lot. Like, I don't think I would have paid anything. Like, I think just 83, because I wanted the 3, so they gave me 83. And I think that was the times then. Like, I sound like maybe a guy on the grass, water my lawn, saying get off my lawn, and an old dude. But yeah, I was used to the norm of that. Like Cam Dantzler wearing 3 this year, I don't know how good that's going to look. We'll have to see, but he's so slim. That 3 is so slim, and the Vikings colors with 3 just makes me think of Blair Walsh. So I don't know how I'm going to take to Cam Dantzler in it. Hopefully he has a great year in 3, because I love 3. Like, that's my number. I'm rocking with him. But yeah, every time I see 3 in a Vikings color, I think Blair Walsh. And so I'm pretty sure the first time something happens or a mistake happens, people are going to make that correlation of here we go again or something. And, but yeah, no, I don't think I would have paid a ton for it.
This is great news for Brett Favre jersey owners, because they can now take a piece of tape and they can cover up the Favre and put Cook, and they've got their jersey. Save a little dough.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
Topic number 3, Chris Finch, Wolves coach. He signed an extension earlier this week. I'm curious, Ron, where you think he ranks among the top coaches in this market?
Yeah, so I'm going to go off Twitter mentions sensationality, like what people are craving right now. Kevin O'Connell, unfortunately, is number 1, only because he's the head football coach for the football team, and football is one of the top. But then I'm going to say Dean Evison. He's right up there next because of how good the Wild are. Dean Evison in some people's houses probably are on top of Kevin O'Connell. So I'd say they're 1A and 1B. I'm going to go PJ Fleck next. I think PJ Fleck, he's sensational. No. I'm going to go Cheryl Reeve. Cheryl Reeve is going to be 3 with the Lynx. Then I'm going to go PJ Fleck. And then I will say Chris Finch. Now, Chris Finch, most likely, if they knock off the 2, he'll jump that and be a solid 2 behind O'Connell and Dean Evison. If he goes further than that, like if he pulls off a miracle and somehow makes it to the Western Conference Finals, then he's up there. Like, he might be ahead of those 2, because nobody's done that. Nobody's been there to get that done in this town since Mike Zimmer, and we know what happened against the Eagles. And so, I'd say he's in that mix, but right now, I'd have to put him behind PJ Fleck, just because he's new. Last year they weren't good. He did get the contract extension, but that's one of those, what have you done for me lately? And he's done a lot, and so they're going to give him the money now. But I'd have to put him behind Cheryl Reeve because she's won championships. But he's coming. Like, if he continues on this pace where they can make the playoffs the next 2 or 3 years, and he's always a conversation, it's no question of, is he going to get fired? Like, if he has a blazing egg next year all of a sudden and they drop back to the basement where they're fighting for the 8 seed, I think people are going to, or they're in the 9 and the 10 play-in spot and they lose and they're out. I think people are going to question that. Like, did they extend them too soon? Is this another Minnesota coaching mistake, giving a guy money that doesn't deserve it? But that's where I'd put him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to go with anyone but Reeve for just overall coaching chops because she's done this for 10, 15 years at a super high level.
Correct.
So many coaches in this market are new. I mean, Rocco Baldelli is in his
I
fourth
forgot about
year,
him too. Yeah.
and and he's still pretty new. Evanson's in his second year, Finch in his first full-time year, O'Connell first full-time year, Ben Johnson his first year. So there's just not a lot of veteran coaches left in this market. So Reeve almost kind of takes it by default, but Finch obviously has a ton of momentum. Bonus question, real fast. What is the best arena for a playoff atmosphere in the Twin Cities?
Well, I was there for the Minneapolis Miracle. I don't think every playoff game has that energy, but that was electric. The Timberwolves, the play-in game, I guess you would say, was playoff atmosphere, but I want to see an actual like game 1, 2, 3, 4 with these Grizzlies. Like, what does that atmosphere look like? Are the fans going to have that same energy? Because D'Angelo Russell talked about that. Stand the whole time until our first basket and all that kind of stuff like college. Let's see if it happens. Let's see what these fans decide to do. If they're going to be loud the entire time, if they're going to scream and make it tough for the other team. I'm going to say the Timberwolves playoff atmosphere, but then you look at the Wild, it's loud, it's crazy in there. That's tough. That's a tough one. I'm just going to naturally say the Wild because I know these fans are crazy and drinking beer and, being drunk is a norm there, like throwing beer up against a glass, people get knocked over. Like that's a norm for that. When that red light flashes after a goal, I'm going to go Wild. Then I'll go Vikings. Then I'll go Timberwolves. From there, Lynx just don't feel the building and it doesn't have the same energy. They've won championships. So then I'd have to say them fourth and then the Twins, we'll see what happens. That having to face the Yankees always in that first game for the playoff or whatever, or quick series, that never is good. So hopefully they can find a better team in that first early games and if they can make the playoffs. But yeah, that they'd be fifth.
Yeah, I've been to playoff games in most of the venues, and it depends so much on the game, right? Because the Twins playoff games I've been to, they laid an egg. It wasn't a good atmosphere. And I'll hit you with kind of an off-the-beaten-path one. My favorite atmosphere ever. Game 5 of the WNBA Finals at Williams Arena. When Target Center was getting refurbished, I think, the Lynx played the finals at Williams Arena, packed the place, and that's a great venue. So that
it's close, yeah. It was
a little bit obscure, but that was definitely my favorite.
That's a good one. Well, that'll do it for the Ron Johnson Show. I want to thank you guys for joining me today. Cameron, I want to wish you a happy birthday. You're 11 now. Please make sure you guys subscribe on YouTube to the Ron Johnson Show and Locked On Sports Minnesota. And also you can download and listen wherever you get your podcasts. Have a great day.